Hi everyone, my name is Jeanette and I blog at countrydesignstyle.com where I share easy, quick DIY projects with my readers so that they can find the DIY in them. Today I'm going to show you how to take twine scraps and add them to make a wreath form to add to your front door. This was made literally with just scraps pieces of twine, excuse me. So I'm going to have Mike bring the camera down to my surface so I can show you what I did. Now, also I'm going to give you the list of supplies, and while I'm doing that, make sure you hit the like and the share button so that we can share all this, because DIY is meant to be shared. First, I start off with Mod Podge. I also start off with a collection of twine, and I've got various twine, and one thing you will find if you go looking at twine and you'll buy it at a hardware store, a department store, a craft store, it's going to come in different colors, thicknesses, shapes, and everything. So you're going to have some that's really thin, some of it's going to have little black spots, which is great. Then also remember there's cotton twine. I use some cotton twine in this. So that's part of what I used. And then I also used wax paper, very important. I used some masking tape. I did have some scissors on hand. I do have a bowl, which I'm going to mix my twine in. And then I needed a mold, and I had to think about this because what I wanted was, you know, when you go into the stores, you find a wreath that is a grapevine or they're styrofoam or they're wire. And in some of your larger craft stores, there's other things such as, you know, driftwood and things like that. But I wanted something different, so that's where I came up with the twine idea. So I took this and decided, what shape do I have around the house that's round? Well, I have this old Jello mold. Okay, very, very old. Okay, and I thought this would be perfect. So I grabbed my Jello mold. Okay, I'm going to have Mike come down to the table and show us everything. And thank you very much, Mike, for helping. And while I'm doing this, we are going to have a question about midway through, and the winner that we pick, answering the most unique, will get a Hometalk tote bag. So, so be aware of that question. Okay, first, bits and pieces of twine. This was literally leftover twine. I have lots of projects. I love twine. I do a lot of things with twine. So I literally have a Kleenex box that I've gotten where I throw my twine in, bits and pieces. And I just toss it in there because I'm always doing something with it. So that's one thing. Now, my Kleenex box is getting empty because I've made one of these. So now I have to, I'm going to have to cut some. So I'm going to take my cereal bowl. This is not really my cereal bowl. And I'm going to dump some twine in. Take my scissors, and I'm going to cut up pieces of twine. Sorry, we have a new puppy in our home. And she's a little rambunctious, and we've tried to come up with things to keep her active while we're doing this. But anyway, just cutting up pieces of twine. Okay, this is my little bowl that I've got here. Now, I'm not going to show you this. Now, my pieces of twine, though, I do want you to know, I used anything from about 14 inches, okay, to something that is about, you know, 3 inches. Okay, it didn't really matter, just, you know, just a collection of twine. Now, also, just to kind of give it a little more texture, if you look at this, you will see I have also some ribbon in here, and I also have some yarn, pieces of yarn, okay? So you can add that if you want. If you don't want to, that's fine. But you know, cut off a few pieces of twine and ribbon. Okay. And this is everything that I've got in my cereal bowl. Okay. You might also want to have a pair of gloves on hand. So I did grab some gloves. Normally I don't do this, but I thought since I'm sharing it with you guys, I don't want to be sticky the whole rest of the demo. So, and if you have any questions along the way, please let me know. This pretty basic project. Let me know in comments, first of all, where are you tuning in from? I love to hear where people are coming from. We get people from all over the world on these, and it just amazes me. Okay, so as you can see, I've dipped. I've just poured probably anywhere from a half a cup of Mod Podge to, anywhere from a third to a half a cup. If I need more, I can always drizzle on a little more. Do we have some questions? We're doing good. Okay, and just kind of mix that up. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a minute, and I'm going to cover this because I don't really want to glue my wreath to this. I want to make sure that my wreath will come off when I'm finished. So this is where the wax paper comes in, and I've learned from making some of these, you need to cover it and cover it down the sides. Okay, and this is where the masking tape, I used masking tape. Should have got this started before we got live, but that's okay. There it is. And I'm just going to tape this around. Now, I'm going to do this very quickly because you don't have, you kind of got the idea about this. You could actually take it and just kind of take a long strip and go around that way if you wanted to, but this way seems to work out fine. I just kind of tape it all the way. And it doesn't have to be pretty, okay? We're not going for pretty on this. We're just going for making sure that things do not stick. Do we have a question?
We're good, thank you.
Okay. Yay! So where is everybody tuning in from? Do we have people letting me know?
They're coming in from all over the country and some from across the pond, and it's quite a variety of people.
Really? Great, very nice. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see people joining in on these live demos. It's great to learn something different and to kind of get some different ideas. And we take these ideas and we make them our own. And I know a lot of people may not be interested in twine. So I do have something that I made yesterday that might appeal to those that want a little fancier look to this. Okay, so now we got that pretty ugly. Can everybody see that okay? I'm going to put my gloves back on. And I'm going to go back to my twine. Now, this is super, super easy. Okay, all you really do, and with gloves though, I don't have a good feel for this. Do make sure that you're coated good. Okay, we're pretty good with that. Okay. Now just kind of take it and pull it out and wrap it all over this. Just let it lay. Now what you want to do is when you're doing it, you want to make sure that you kind of get down to the edges so that you do get the wreath kind of a form, that 3-dimension of the wreath, but you don't want to go down underneath or anything because you're going to have a harder time getting it out. I may take off my gloves because I have a funny feeling this may stick to my gloves more than it does to my fingers. So let me take those back off. Okay. You can tell the first time I did, or the first 2 times I've done this, I did not use gloves. And I've got all kinds of little pieces. And I'm not overlapping anything. I do want a little more. And you'll be able to tell this. You kind of want it, you can tell the stickiness of the Mod Podge. You can just kind of tell where it's just, I'm going to go ahead and get my fingers in there. I like to get messy on my projects. You can tell where it just gets that good stickiness on there. And then just pull out pieces and lay them on. Nothing fancy. Just move them around, lay them all over. And where I've got my pieces of yarn, I'm kind of spacing them out. I don't want all my yarn in one spot. And I'm just overlapping, okay? And you just keep doing this, making sure that I drop them down inside. Make sure I overlap it here. And it's going to pop up, okay, in places. Whoops, we lost our camera. Did everybody fall down? We're so sorry.
The puppy got me.
I'm put glue and twine and everything else on my face. Nothing like a big mess. But I love this DIY that gets kind of messy, kind of just all over. And again, like I said, see how I'm kind of making sure I've got pieces that's going to drop down inside of there. And as I keep going, I'll make sure that pieces kind of go around the edge. But I'm not I'm not weaving things. I'm just letting it lay. Okay? Any questions, anything so far? This looks like a mess, doesn't it? But to me, the best DIY projects look like a mess until they get creative.
Carol asked us to show the puppy, but I think that might be a little hard to catch her right now.
we might try catching her at the end. I don't know. She's trying to get behind her crate right now. She will be 6 months old tomorrow and a handful. But she does like to watch crafting, which is really fun. Now, again, see, I'm just kind of making sure that things kind of come up to the edges, but I don't want to overlap this too much. And I'm just going to kind of go for a little bit here because we want to make sure we have plenty of time to see how this thing turns out. And like I said, you could even use, like this first one here. I'm going to show this. Has anybody seen this? This is the, see through here, I've got ribbon even through here. Okay? So this is what I do. Okay, once I get to that point, I'm going to wipe my hands for just a minute. Now, this, when I say once I get to this point, I didn't completely finish this. I would finish my whole bowl of twine, just like I finished my whole bowl of cereal. You know, I just don't want to kind of take so much time doing it. So I've got a sample already. Now, again, too, I'm kind of plopping some of this on. I didn't do that the first time. I kind of carefully wove things around so that it was nice and neat. But once I got it where I wanted it, and if there were any big gapping holes, I would adjust things. Okay, like if I didn't like that, I'd make sure there was twine pieces that went across right in there, or right in here, wherever I needed extra. I would just kind of keep putting it on there. I love this part of it. It's kind of fun. It was sticky and it was gooey, and you just kind of tuck it all in. Okay, once you've got it all laid out the way you want it, wipe your hands, and then take some more wax paper, and I kind of learned 3 little sheets that are about 5 or 6 inches long is perfect for this little mold that I have. Take the more additional wax paper and start putting it on top. Okay? And you're going to press it kind of a little bit. One more piece for that little corner over there. Right in there. Okay, and you kind of press it down. And then the other thing I did was, again, take some more of my tape. I would pick up my mold and I would tape it all the way around. And then the hard part, you let this sit for at least 8 hours. Okay. After 8 hours, I'm going to show you what you have. You have this. This one, I took some of my wax, I started taking some of my wax paper off this morning, but you kind of slowly peel back your wax paper. Now what I like to do too is I like to peel off that top layer of wax paper, and you just kind of have, sometimes you'll have to hold it down and work your fingers, make sure that it keeps that in there. You know, keeps your twine in place. But you just kind of pull it back. Okay? And after I got my top off, I again would like to let it sit for another couple hours, just until, like this morning when I started, it was really sticky.
So far, Jeanette, 23 people have shared your video. That's great, wow. Isn't it?
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yay, I love that. Thanks for sharing. because my biggest thing about DIY is sharing it, getting it out to other people. So after it's dry, okay, give it a couple more hours, let it dry, and then start coming in on the bottom side and start taking this off. And see, it's really not bad. Every once in a while you get a spot that kind of, you know, you have to hold it down and pull it back, but you just take it and pull this away. And it just, the masking tape sometimes is the stickiest part of this. And I do have a funny story to tell you about this. Once I had this completely done, now this one's been, I did this one yesterday, so this one's pretty dry, but my first one that I did, let me get this last, why is it the last screw is the hardest one to get out? The last bit of paper is the hardest one to pull off. There we go. So when I did my first one, I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I have a wreath frame that is made out of twine. How cool is that? And when I did my first one, it was still tacky. And so I was in the kitchen and I let it set on top of a little cutting board type thing that we have. And Mike walked through the kitchen and he was like, oh, you made a cake? Just at first glance, he thought it was a cake. Disappointed when he found out it was our wreath. But I thought it was a great way to make a neat wreath form that's something different than everything else that you find out there. Now from here, you can take it and add whatever you like to it. Like this one here's my first one. And also a little note, and I left this here on purpose. First of all, you've got plenty of places to hang this. All these twines, I can hang this any direction I want, okay? And the other thing is, you know, I just put a cluster of flowers and a ribbon on there. But the other thing too is, like, I left, there's a little spot here in the center. I don't know if you can see this, where it looks like a hook, looks like a fishing hook, right in there. For some reason, I never liked that little spot, but I kept it because I just wanted to show you that if there's a spot in there you don't like, take scissors and cut it out. So my fishing hook is gone, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can hang this on a front door. I can hang it on a cabinet door, which is really what I bought, what I wanted it for. I wanted just a small wreath. Now you may be thinking, well, I wanted, a small wreath. Oh, you weren't talking to me. But I thought, you know, my next one, now this, I've made 3 now. These 2 are very similar, okay? And I've got my 4th one over here drying. So it's going to be, here it is. It's the one I just put together, okay? It's going to be dry here before too long, so I'll have that one. And then I also thought, well, what if, you know, I'm sharing this with people, and, you know, this is a farmhouse style to me. This is very, you know, we use twine all over the house. But what if you're not into farmhouse? What if you want something a little more delicate or something? So I made another one out of ribbon. This is strictly just 6 different types of ribbon in blues and green, and I just stuck a white flower in it. I mean, I literally wove it in there. I didn't even hot glue that in or anything.
Could some of this be done with moss also?
I definitely could be done with moss. That is a great idea. I love that. In fact, we have some moss outside, but yes, you could just take your moss and add it in with your twine even, and do both, which I think would be great. But I think that you could take those moss sheets and stuff, if you coated that really well with your Mod Podge, and then take it and put it over your where's my frame? Over a form of any type, you can get that shape. So I think that's a great idea. Now, I was also trying to think, I like this so much that we have a glass front door. So I don't really hang a wreath on our front door. But next to our front door, I have a crib springs, believe it or not, from a baby crib. And the edges are wrapped in twine. And I thought it'd be great to have a large one like this next to our front door. So I thought, how would I get large? And I thought, you know those noodles that you can buy at the dollar store for swimming, the kids that swim? You can take those, make a circle, tape it together with duct tape, and do the exact same thing. Add your wax paper, cut pieces of twine or ribbon, if ribbon is your thing.
And can you just go back, Jeanette, and share with everybody what you used for your form? Because some people are just joining and they're wondering how
They
to
want to
get
know.
the form.
Okay, this is what I used for my form. I'm going to destroy this one right now because this one's not cooked yet, but that's fine. That's the thing about DIY. Even if, when you guys are all done, and when this is over, I will grab all this up and I will put it on my form. But here's the form that I used. Oh, I got it taped up good. This is just a Jello mold. One of those Jello molds like this that you get, and you can get them in thrift stores and stuff like that. Also, if you don't have one of those, look for a bump pan. Check in your closet. Remember, in your cabinets. Remember the bump pans we always used? Check for one of those. Those would make a great one. The thing that you need to think about, anything. I mean, I was even thinking about it, a box. And I thought, why couldn't I make a box? I could wrap my box, if I had a wooden block or a shoebox even. You could take your shoebox, wrap it with your wax paper, because otherwise it's going to glue to your shoebox and you'll have a mess. But wrap that up, take your twine and stuff and decorate it, wrap it around. And for those that missed any of this, first of all, the replay will be available. But if you missed any, you're just going to lay this in any pattern. Just let it be whatever it's going to be. When you're done, do make sure that you press it, because that, you know, adding that extra wax paper and kind of sandwiching it between the wax paper helps all those fibers in that Mod Podge stick together, and it sticks then hard. I mean, these things are hard. How many people has made the ball where you blow up the balloon and you wrap twine around it and then you pop the balloon? Those balls are hard. So these wreaths are very, very hard and sturdy. They're as sturdy as any grapevine wreath. So, so consider that. Now, I want to make sure that I ask my question. So everybody get ready to type in comments, and we're going to read off some questions, and you let me know, you know, what have you used to make a wreath? Tell us in comments something that you have used to make a wreath, and for a chance to win a Hometalk tote bag. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a moment and also show you a couple ideas too that have been very popular, and that is a nest. This is a twine nest made pretty much the same way. I've got a few of them here. This one here is another one. And this one here, even, if you look at this, has even black threads in it. And if you, that is actually threads from material. I literally took some material, and I could have even done this. I've got a little piece of drop cloth here. You know, you can take the threads of your drop cloth and you can add that in. Oh, or another idea is your burlap. You know how we're always trying to cut straight burlap, and to be able to do that, we pull the threads of it to get that straight line so that we can cut. Save these threads. Save them like I do in a Kleenex box. And it's endless, the ideas that you can use this. Just make sure that you add your wax paper because you don't want to glue everything to your mold or your bump pan or your... Okay, we've got some comments coming in.
Just a question on how long do you soak the threads for in the Mod Podge?
I just, enough to coat them. I put it in and I started... Today, I mean, I just poured it in and started mixing it up, and just right away. You don't really soak them, you just go ahead and start using them. There's going to be a point like these, probably in about an hour, I'm going to guess, maybe, where they may be starting to get too hard to use. maybe even an hour and a half, something like that, before they'll start getting hard and I won't be able to use them for anything. But plenty of work time for making like a covering. I'm going to really think about that shoebox idea. I really like that one. I think it would be a unique box because I could actually add the lid to it too. So
one
great.
other question we just got from Judy is, can you use a bottle of spray starch to hold the twine in place?
A bottle of spray. You might be able to. I know you can take liquid starch, or liquid starch is what I would use more than a spray starch, because I know you can coat fabric with the liquid starch and apply on a wall.
And the other question from Great Britain is, do you know the equivalent to Mod Podge in Great Britain, or a product that may be, is it liquid glue? What would you describe it as?
Mod Podge is a pretty thick glue that dries extremely hard, and it will dry clear. One thing I do want to show you
On the finished product?
on the finished product here, if you look very closely, and I mean we're having to look real close, there's some places here that have little glue where it's dried, and you can also see it on my hands. You can see where it kind of hardens, so you need a glue that's going to harden that well. I can look that up for you when I get finished, and if anyone has any comments that I miss, when we're done, I'll pop in and see if I can answer and make sure I answer any questions that anybody has about this. Another little comment too that I wanted to add, when you're done and you've taken all your string and you've put it on your, hopefully much neater than this, but you've got your little cereal bowl. Now,
We just got an answer to the UK question. Hobbycraft sells Mod Podge in the UK.
oh, thank you very much. See, that's why I love DIY. Everybody is so open to sharing ideas. This is great. Now, like I said, I've made a few of these, so I've used this bowl as my little crafting bowl. So I go to clean my bowl out. Well, I just put hot soapy water and started trying to get the Mod Podge out of here. Well, Mod Podge is pretty strong stuff. And I realized, I mean, I was taking a paper towel and everything, all I was doing was gluing my paper towel to my bowl. So I found out yesterday when I was making this one, I found out that dryer sheets, take your Mod Podge, put a little soap and use a dryer sheet, and man, that will wipe that Mod Podge right out of there. So dryer sheets are amazing. Dryer sheets will also help if you're you've left paint on a paintbrush, wrap it up in a dryer sheet and it can soften the paint. So that's another idea.
Say that again?
And also, are we still getting questions? Okay. Are we still getting responses to what you use to make a wreath? Because I do want to pick a winner for the tote.
There are many, many responses and some very unique ideas on what everybody's used. You're going to have to go back through, I think. We do have Amerdine Bawa that uses wine bottles and colorful cloth and a wire hanger to do it, and she is the last one to come through. So
let's pick that one. Let's pick that one. So Hometalk, make sure that she gets a tote. I love that. Plus, I would love to see it. So I hope you share it on Hometalk. Okay, so thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe before you go so that you get notifications of the live videos. And tune in later on tonight at 5 o'clock. There's going to be another live demo. Again, my name's Jeanette. I blog at countrydesignstyle.com. And thank you, Hometalk, for letting me invade your Facebook page. Thank you, everybody. Bye.